All right, we're going to try this again. This will be attempt number 3 to do something. So we're going to see if we can get it done, hopefully. Let's see if it comes up. At least the spinning circle is gone. So hopefully we can get this show back on the road where it needs to be. All right, third time the charm is hopefully the phrase. I tried twice and messed up twice, so we're going to try again. We are at the April. Hello, Larry. Yes, we are back. Hopefully, there's no more spinning circles. I had to just shut that one off, restart. I had to shut down the computer and restart it, so hopefully it won't mess up again. We shall see. We are at the April 27th block, the first of 3 games on that date, game 128 on the season. Kurt Young against Bob Stanley. Oakland enters the game 15-4. Boston enters 2-16. Ballpark effects: singles 1-3 for lefties and righties. Home runs are 1-5. Kurt Young enters the game 2-1. Bob Stanley enters the game 0-2. Hello, Kenyon. Hopefully it won't mess up this time like it did the past 2 times. And hopefully we can get this game done. All right, so I've eschewed the colored dice for the teams because the D20s, I haven't been liking the way they've been going. So I'm going to kind of just stick to this formula here, and hopefully the D20 here is more fair. For the Red Sox, they did get Marty Barrett back. He is in their starting lineup, back to the way they used to have it. And now Kurt Young, who enters the game 2-1. So let me go to the Strat computer very quickly and get his full numbers for you. He's 2-1 with a 2.08 earned run average. So he's doing much better. He was a 4.08 in real world. But in the replay so far, he's a 2.08. 26 innings pitched, 23 hits, 2 walks, and 16 strikeouts. So left-hander Kurt Young is going to start things off for the A's. Wade Boggs will lead off for the Red Sox. He's hitting .311, 4 homers, and 9 driven in. And hopefully now we're underway to stay. 6-10, lefty on lefty. That's a ballpark single check right off the bat. It's 1-3, but that's a 13, so it's going to be a fly ball to left field. And that is hauled in out there by Polonia for out number 1. So Boggs is retired. Now Marty Barrett makes his first game back in a long time. He's only had 19 at-bats before he got injured. He is hitting .421 in those 19 at-bats, no homers or runs driven in. He has walked twice. So he's gotten on base. 1-7. He won't do it this time. That's a fly to center. And Mr. Javier will make that catch. So 2 fly ball outs. And then we turn it over to Billy Buck. Bill Buckner. Buckner enters the replay, hitting .290, no homers, 6 driven in. And that's going to be a 3-5 against the left-hander, and that's a fly to right. So look at that, fly to left, fly to center, and fly to right. They were pretty symmetric right there. And that's a 1-2-3 inning for the Red Sox. Kurt Young makes quick work of the Sox. We go to the bottom of the first. Boston nothing. Oakland coming to bat. And on the mound for the Red Sox, the infamous Bob Stanley. On the replay, Stanley is 0-2 with an ERA of 8.20, 19 innings pitched, 29 hits, 6 walks, and 11 strikeouts. Luis Polonia. Hello, Mr. Robert. Luis Polonia will lead things off. He's the left fielder in this game. Polonia is hitting .154 in just 13 at-bats, so he's had limited duties. It's a 2-9, and that's a ground ball to first, so Billy Buck will take it to the bag himself. And there's 1 away. And here's Tony Phillips, second baseman. Phillips hitting .250, 2 homers, 9 driven in. 3-4 for Phillips is a solid double to center field. So Tony Phillips in scoring position with only 1 out. And that will bring up Carney Lansford. Lansford on the replay is hitting .315, 2 homers, and 14 runs driven in. First havoc roll of the game, and Stanley's wild pitch is a 4, his balk's a 0. Nothing happening there, so Lansford will swing away. 3-3, and that's a line out to Boggs at third base for out number 2. And that's going to leave it up to Jose Canseco, the designated hitter, and he is in a clutch situation. And in the clutch, he will gain a hit on 110. And I believe that's his only spot for clutch. Yep, he gains a hit on 110. Otherwise, he's neutral. So Canseco on the replay hitting 258, 5 homers, 9 driven in. Nothing on the Havoc. That's a 2-8, and he's going to strike out. So Stanley strikes out Canseco to end the first. And we got no score after one from the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. Here on this late Sunday morning. Rainy and nasty where I am. Supposed to be high winds as well. So good day to be inside. So Jim Rice will lead things off for the Red Sox. He's hitting 362, 3 homers, 16 driven in. That's a 1-5 against the lefty, and he's going to fly to center. So another fly out. And that's hauled in out there by Javier, one away. That will bring up the designated hitter, Don Baylor. Baylor's hitting 258, a homer and 1 driven in. I'm sorry, homer and 8 driven in. 6-4 against the right-hander. That's a ballpark blast. It's 1-5. That is a 5. It is long and it is gone for Mr. Baylor. His second home run of the season. Just snuck it out of Oakland Coliseum. Home run number 2, RBI number 9. Look at it again. Kurt Young, 6-4 ballpark blast with that diamond shot. And 1-5 for home runs for righties and lefties, and that is a 5. And of course, Baylor does have the normal power. So the Oakland A's fall behind Boston 1-0 thanks to the blast by Don Baylor. And that'll bring up Dewey Evans. Try to keep it going for the Red Sox. Hitting 284, 3 homers, 13 driven in. 3-4 to the lefty. He's going to ground it to Lansford. That's 2 away. And that will flip it over to Glenn Hoffman, the shortstop. Hoffman in 24 at-bats, limited duty. He's only hitting a .167, no homers and 1 driven in. 4-8 against the right-hander. He's going to strike out to end the inning. So the home run from Baylor puts the Red Sox in the lead 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the second. We are supposed to get snow Wednesday afternoon and evening and into Thursday morning. Don't know how much. All right, Bob Stanley. I'm so ready for spring to get here. Bob Stanley will be facing Reggie Jackson. Hot Dog Jackson hitting 212, 3 homers, 11 driven in. It's a 4-5 for Stanley. It's a ground ball to Barrett at second. Easy play. And Jackson barely made it down the line. He knew he was out, so he just kind of didn't do much. I guess he's afraid he's going to pull the hamstring. He didn't really run it out. So here's McGuire. 220, 2 homers, 5 driven in. 6-7, and that's a 1-12 single. That's a 5. It'll be a base hit for McGuire. So a 1-out single by Mark McGuire brings up the center fielder, Stan Javier. More for his glove than his bat. And Javier is hitting only a .125 in 24 at-bats, a homer and 3 runs driven in. Nothing on the Havoc. Here is the pitch to Javier. 3-7, and that's a strikeout. So I really wanted to use the yellow and the green dice, but that green D20 has been really a pain in the ass, so I decided to go back to either use a white or a black D20 because the blue and the green ones and the red ones even just weren't rolling well for me. So here's Steinbach hitting 359, 2 homers, 2 driven in. It's a 6-8, and that's a single to center field. McGuire will stop at second base. So that's going to put 2 on with 2 outs for Alfredo Griffin, the shortstop. Griffin hitting 234, no homers, 2 driven in. Nothing on the Havoc. 2-10, and that is a ground ball to second. Marty Barrett has it, throws to first, and there's your end of the inning. So how about that, Mr. Bob Stanley? 2 consecutive scoreless innings. That's noteworthy right there. We go to the third, 1-0 Red Sox. So I'd rather have decent fair numbers with less accoutrements than try to pretty it up with colors and be frustrated with the results. So here's Danny Schaefer, the catcher for the Red Sox. He's hitting $130, no homers, no driven in. 4-4 against the right-hander for Kurt Young. It's a catcher X. That is Steinbach. He's a 3. 3-14 should be okay, especially with nobody on base. You would think it would be. 3-14 is a straight old pop out. So the error chances, he's an E7. So he has to avoid 3, 15, 16, and 18. If he does that, it's just a straight pop out. And he does. So it's a pop out to Steinbach. And Schaefer makes the first out of the inning. That'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Dave Henderson. Kind of interesting. They drove him all the way down to number 9 position. I think he's a better hitter than that, you would think. Hello, Sportsman Z. Good to see you. Watched your 2024, what is it, Strat-Max card review. That was interesting. I'm not a big fan of Strat-Max. Just not my thing. But if everybody else likes it, hey, go for it. All right, here's Hindu, and Hindu is hitting 183, 5 homers and 12 driven in. That's a 6-9 against Kurt Young. That's a fly ball to right field. So hauled in out there by by Reggie. Forgot who's in the field. Reggie. Not used to seeing him in right field, but he's there, and he makes the catch. Here is Wade Boggs. Boggs flew to left his first chance. 6-5, and he's going to line it to short. Snagged by Alfredo Griffin. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Kurt Young. And we go to the bottom of the third. Still 1-0 Boston. The home run from Baylor has held up to this point. But how long will Bob Stanley hold up? That's the question. Too bad Uncle Ron is here because that's Uncle Ron's favorite pitcher of all time is Bob Stanley. So Stanley will be facing the top of the order, Polonia. Hello, Frank. All right, so Polonia grounded to Buckner his first trip. 4-6, and that's going to be a solid single for Luis Polonia. Question is, will he try to get the lead? To get the lead, he needs a 4 through 6. Now, Stanley pitcher-catcher interface is a -2, so if he gets the lead, it'll be a 19, being held, make him a 17, -2 is a 15. Those are still pretty good odds, so they're going to try to get the lead. 4 through 6, and he will obtain the lead. He does not, so he will hold. And that'll bring up Tony Phillips. Not a very good bunter, not a good hit and run guy, so we're just going to have him swing away. He did double his first chance. 4-9, switch hitter, and look at this. 1-4 is a triple, 5-20 is a double. That's going to be a double to center field. It's always assumed to go to center field when it's not notated. So Phillips with a double. Now Polonia runs at a 17, being held makes him a 16. Henderson's a -2 arms, a 14. With nobody out, they're going to hold him at third base. There's really no reason to risk anything. With one out, they would have sent him. With no out, they're going to hold him. And they're going to force Boston's hand to see if they want to play in or back. And I think they're going to play back here on the first with nobody out. Once they get one out, they might play in, but nobody out, they need outs. Here's Carney Lansford. Infield is back to try to prevent that ball from shooting through the infield and allowing 2 runs in. 1-8, and that's a ground ball shortstop B, so that's going to score the run. Had he been in, they would have cut him down at the plate, but you take your percentages there. Now the run on second, Phillips will have to hold, but an RBI ground out for Carney Lansford. And it's going to go 6-3. And I'm going off memory, but I will double check it now just to be sure. Ground ball B, runners at second and third. It's a 5. If hit to second or short, batter out, runner advances 1 bases. Runners advance 1 base. Otherwise, batter out, runner holds. All right, so it says that runners advance. So even though it's hit to short, it says on here, I'm looking right on this chart, second and third is a 5. 5 says if hit to second or short, which it was, batter out, runners advance 1 base. So even the runner on second, or am I looking at second? Yeah, that's what it says here for both of these, first and third or second and third. So that They're saying the runner on second goes to third. I'm not sure that would be accurate most of the time, but that's what they say, so that's the way I'll play it. So we will move him up. So I need to edit that in the computer to make sure he gets to second base. So we'll redo that ground out to make sure he advances. All right, so Phillips is now at third with one out, and the infield will be in for Jose Canseco, who struck out his first chance. We're tied at one apiece here in the bottom of the third as they're starting to get to Stanley the second time around. 6-8, and that's another single to center field, so it really doesn't matter where he was because he would have scored anyway, most likely, from second with his speed. So it's going to be a 2-1 Oakland lead as Canseco singles, and now the true qualities of Bob Stanley are coming through. Canseco needs a 6 to get the lead. Does not get it. He will hold, and here comes Reggie Jackson. Still nobody. I'm sorry, one out. One out and runner at first. 2-11, and that's a straight-up home run for Reggie Jackson. Look at that, 2-11. Clean as a whistle right there. 2-11 against a right-hander is a solid home run for Reggie Jackson. That is home run number 4. RBIs 12 and 13. And all of a sudden, Oakland has blown it open the second time through against Bob Stanley. So home run number 4 for Reggie Jackson. And it is now 4-1 Oakland with the lead. And all of a sudden, Stanley is imploding right before our very eyes. Here's McGuire. 4-6, and that's a strikeout. Much needed strikeout for Stanley. There's a dot there, but he's not tired yet, so strikeout will stand. Here's Javier. 2 outs and the base is clear, but 4 runs are in. 1-9, and he will ground it to Marty Barrett at second to end the inning. But an Abraham Lincoln 4-score inning has put the Oakland A's in front by the score of 4-1 after 3. And now Kurt Young has been given a lead to protect, and Bob Stanley is left to go into the dugout and put a towel over his head and wonder what happened. Hello, Mr. Doug, and hello, Mr. Vega. Good to see you. So Kurt Young will come back out, and he gets to enjoy a 4-1 lead now. And he will be facing Marty Barrett. Flew to center his first chance. Did Barrett. 1-5. He's going to draw the base on balls. So leadoff walk. Not what you want to do when your team just gave you a 3-run lead is to walk the leadoff man, but he just did it. Barrett can get a lead on a 4. It's a 2. He does not get the lead. So Barrett will hold, and Billy Buckner steps to the plate, lefty on lefty. 2-6. That is a fly ball to right field, 1 away. So Buckner is retired as Reggie hauls it in. And that'll bring up Mr. Rice. Nothing on the havoc. 3-4 against the left-hander. Ground ball pitcher A. That's going to be a 1-4-3 double play to retire the side. Just what Kurt Young was looking for to get out of the inning. Nothing doing. Whoops, dropped my pen. Nothing doing. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Still 4-1. And we'll keep a short leash on Bob Stanley. See if he can recover. They do have bullpen activity to the Red Sox already. And in their bullpen, loosening in their bullpen, is right-hander Wes Gardner. But they're going to try to get Stanley through a few more innings if at all possible. So here's Steinbach. 2-7, and he strikes out. So Stanley starts off well in the 4th with a strikeout. That'll bring up Alfredo Griffin. .111, and that's going to be a pop out to second base. 2 down. Listen, Frank, I'm honored to have all these people decide to spend part of their time watching my stream. Definitely some good content creators out there that have joined me today. Happy to have them. Here's Polonia. 1-9, and that's going to be a ground ball to first, and that's going to be handled by Buckner to end the inning. So Stanley comes back with a 3-up and 3-down inning. So maybe that fourth inning was just an anomaly. We shall see. But he's going to continue. So we go to the fifth. Still 4-1. Oakland. Kurt Young has a fatigue of 7, so he's definitely good to keep going. Don Baylor, who homered for the only run of the game for Boston, he will lead off. It was his second home run of the season that he hit off of Young. 1-10. This time he's going to pop it up to Lansford at third. Far cry from the home run. And that's one away, and that will bring up Dewey Evans. That's a 6-6, and that's a line out to Lansford. So Lansford's making all the plays over there. 2 quick outs, and that will send up Glenn Hoffman, the shortstop. 3-4, and that's a ball. I'm sorry, 3-4 is a line out to second. So the Red Sox couldn't get the ball out of the infield as they have a pop out and 2 line outs. And they are quickly disposed of here in the top of the fifth. We go to the bottom of the fifth, still 4-1. Stanley back out, and he's going to be facing Phillips, Lansford, and Canseco, heart of the order. For the A's, Phillips has doubled twice. He's 2 for 2, so it would behoove Stanley to keep him off the bases. 5-4, and that's going to be a fly ball center field X. That is Henderson. He's a 2. 2 and a 4 is going to be interesting. We'll see if he can get to it. A 2 and a 4. I think he might get to it. We'll see. 2 and a 4. He does barely. It's an F1. And now we'll check for an error. He is an E7. So he's got to avoid 6, 15, 16, and 18. So 6, 15, 16, and 18. And that's a 7. He barely avoids it. So it wasn't easy, but he makes the catch. And there's one away. That's all that matters. It's recorded as an out. They're not grading on style points. So he gets the job done. And here's Carney Lansford. 3-7 for Lansford, and that's a fly to center normally, but in Super Advance you split this. One's a single and the other's a liner to short, so he lines it to short. 4-1 away, or 2 away actually, and that's going to bring up Mr. Canseco. Canseco has struck out, singled, and scored in front of the Jackson home run. And again, another thing gets stuck in there. Come on, get out of there. 5-3. To the right-hander is a fly ball left field X. That's Rice again. He's a 4. Can he make the catch again? 4-10, he'll get to it. Now, again, he's got to avoid those same numbers. He's got to avoid 6, 15, 16, and 18. And that's a 14, so he barely does it. But he does avoid it. So 2 shaky flyouts to left, but they get the job done. And Bob Stanley coaxes his way through another inning. We go to the 6th. It is still 4-1, favor of Oakland. Kurt Young back out. Will be facing bottom of the order, Schaefer, Henderson, and Boggs. No pinch hitting until we get to the 7th. That's pretty much been my standard rule, other than injury. 5-5 for a right-hander is a leadoff walk. So Schaefer draws the leadoff walk. That's the second time in a row. Second time in 3 innings that he's walked the leadoff man. Of course, he got bailed out by a double play last time. Here's Henderson. Schaefer not going to be held, as he can't run at all, hardly. It's a 6-7, and that's a strikeout, and a big one for Kurt Young. Strikes out Mr. Henderson. 1 away. Let's move this over a little bit more. Make sure the right side of the cards aren't getting cut off. I don't think they are. I think we're back in business. All righty. So that'll bring up Boggs with 1 out and a Schaefer at first base. Boggs is 0 for 2. 3-7, and he's going to draw a base on balls. So another walk. And now the tying run is at the plate in Marty Barrett. So Young has been playing with these walks. That's 3 walks in the last 3 innings, so he's got to be careful. Don't want to give these free base runners and have the big guys come up. 3-6, and that's a single 1 star, so it's going to load the bases. Bases are now loaded for Bill Buckner, and Kurt Young could be in a little bit of trouble. Oakland bullpen is fidgeting down there, but nobody's tossing just yet, but they are kind of moving around down there. Infield is back for the double play with the bases loaded. Here's Buckner. 6-11, and that's a ground ball pitcher X. Kurt Young is a 3-E7. 3-12, and the pitcher is always assumed to be in. So any kind of result is going to be with an in. So he's a 3-7, and we rolled a 12 on a 3 for the pitcher. That's a G3, so in or not, G3 means it's going to be going to first for the out, and the run's going to score. We'll make sure there's no error. He is an E7, so he's got to avoid 3, 12, and 18. And that is a 12, so he couldn't avoid that. That's an error on Kurt Young. Doesn't matter where he's going to go with the ball, he's going to boot it. There's a 12 sitting right there under the E1 category on the E7. So Kurt Young is going to boot it. E1, a huge error. That's going to score Schaefer to cut the lead to 4-2. The bases are still loaded with only 1 out. Not a good time. Not that there's any time for a good error, but that's definitely not one of them. And now that will send up Jim Rice. And now the Oakland bullpen is received the call. And Dennis Eckersley has started light tossing down there. He may need to be coming in a hurry. We shall see. Jim Rice with the bases loaded. Infield still back for the double play. 5-4, and that's a fly ball center field X, and that is Javier. He's a 2. Could be a sacrifice fly at worst. 2 and a 7 most likely will. That should be a G2, or F2, I should say. So he's a 2 and a 7. That's an F2. That's a sacrifice fly result. Assuming, again, there's no error. He is an E7 in center field, so he's got to avoid 3, 4, 15, and 17, and 18. And he does. So it's going to be an F2, which is a sacrifice fly. So sacrifice fly to center field. That will score Boggs and make it a 4-3 game. Now 2 outs for Don Baylor. And now you wonder if Kurt Young, if they're going to let him face Baylor, or do they bring in Eckersley to try to get out of the inning? Baylor's already homered off of Young. Boy, tough call here for La Russa. You hate to bring in Eckersley this early, but you might have to. This could be, the save situation could be right here in this inning. So Kurt Young is going to be removed from the ball game, and Dennis Eckersley will be coming on. And so Kurt Young is going to be limited to 5 2/3 innings. And he's going to give up just 2 hits. That's the only 2 hits he's given up. A single here and a home run here, but the walks have been his bugaboo. He has walked 4. I'm sorry, he's walked 3. Plus that error didn't help his cause either. Struck out 2. So now Eckersley is on. He's a -2 hold, so that's a -2. So they can't do the runs because the runners on base are his responsibility. And so Don Baylor will now have to face Eckersley in a clutch situation. So let's bring in Eckersley on the computer and get his replay stats, which I believe he's been doing very well in the replay. Eckersley on the replay is 3-0 with a 1.20 ERA and 5 saves, 15 innings pitched, 8 hits, 2 walks, and 14 strikeouts. So I would say he's doing pretty well for himself. But he's got a big task here to get Baylor out in a clutch situation. Clutch for Baylor, he does not show any clutch ratings against right-handers. He has, or left-handers for that matter. So he's definitely neutral on the clutch. And they don't have pitcher clutch. So Eckersley looking to get out of this mess. 2-8, and he hits Don Baylor. Mr. Hit by Pitch gets hit by a pitch, and that's going to load the bases back again. So Baylor put his shoulder into one, took one for the team, and it has loaded the bases once again. And it's all up to Dewey Evans, two veterans going at it. Eckersley and Evans, former teammates in Boston, but now they are opposition. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and Dewey Evans gains a hit on the 2-10 clutch, so he's got one extra hit coming his way on a clutch result. But that's a 6-7 for Eckersley. Ground ball shortstop X. That's Griffin, and Griffin is a 2E29, so a very important fielding chance for Griffin. 2 and a 12, he'll get to that. Now it's the E29 they have to worry about. 2 and a 12 is a G1, so he would flip the second for the force to end the inning, but he is an E29 as a shortstop. He's got to avoid 11, 3, 17, and 18. Those are the 4 numbers to avoid. And he does, so good play for Griffin, and that's going to get the Red Sox out, or the A's rather, out of the inning with the lead still intact, as it goes as a 4-6 fielder's choice, or 6-4 fielder's choice, I should say. Six-4 fielder's choice. And we go to the bottom of the 6th. It's now 4-3. The lead has been cut into, so we can close the book on Young. He's going to give up 3 runs. I believe 2 of them are earned, but I will verify it with the computer to make sure we're not calculating anything incorrectly. Yep, 3 runs, 2 earned. That's his final line. All right, this is the fatigue inning for Stanley, so you got to watch out for him as well. And again, Gardner is loosening in the bullpen. Not Dave Gardner, but Wes Gardner. If Dave Gardner was warmed up in the bullpen, the Red Sox would be in trouble with me. All right, so Reggie will lead things off. It's a 5-11, and that is a ground ball first base X to Buckner. Will it go through his legs? He's a 4-19. He'll make the play. The error chance is an E13. So as a first baseman, E13, he's got to avoid 11, 13, and 17. And he barely does with a 16. So he barely makes the play. And with a slow running Jackson, he has time to flip to Stanley covering first base for the out. So Reggie is retired, and here's Mark McGuire. 5-8, and that's a pop out to Boggs at third base. So Stanley might make it the full 6 innings. How about that? Wouldn't have thought he'd be in the game longer than Kurt Young was. But there's Javier, 6-3, switcher batting left. Fly ball left field X, that's Jim Rice. He's a 4. 4-15, he'll get to it. And as an outfielder, as an E7, we've already seen it a couple times, but to repeat, 6, 15, 16, and 18. Got to avoid those numbers. And that's a 15. He did not avoid that. So that's going to be an error on Jim Rice. As an E7, we got a 15 right here. That's a 2-base error on Jim Rice. That will keep the inning going. Jim Rice, a 2-base error. Not what Bob Stanley was looking for. And that brings up Steinbach. Clutch situation for Steinbach. He loses a hit on 2-11 on the clutch. That's a 3-3, however, which is a fly ball to right plus an injury check. So Steinbach might have to leave the game. It's a fly to right to end the inning, but now we have an injury check. He needs a 1-4 to stay in the game. Anything higher than 4, he's got to come out. And he will come out of the game. So Steinbach will have to leave due to injury. And the A's come away empty-handed in the 6th. We have played 6. It's 4-3 Oakland. But now the A's will have to go to their backup catcher, Mickey Tettleton. Tettleton will have to take over the rest of the game, as Steinbach has to miss the rest of this game. So we do have Tettleton coming on. Tettleton to catch in the 7th. So Tettleton will catch in the 7th inning. for Eckersley. So Eckersley back out. We start the 7th. It will be Glenn Hoffman, Danny Schaefer, and Henderson. However, we are in the 7th, so pinch hitters are available. We are available to use pinch hitters if need be. Now on the bench for Boston to pinch hit, they do have Mike Greenwell. They do have Ed Romero, Mark Sullivan, and Pat Dotson. So they may very well pinch hit for Schaefer with somebody and then put Sullivan in to catch. So Greenwell has picked up a bat. He's on the on-deck circle to hit for Schaefer. But right now, Hoffman will go ahead and swing away. 3-3, and that is a ground ball to short, one away. And now we're going to get a pinch hitter as we're going to have Greenwell pinch hitting here in the 7th, and then Sullivan will take over as the catcher. I know Greenwell is rated as a catcher, but I'm not going to abuse that. That's not going to be. He's going to be the emergency catcher only. I'm not going to try to play the system on that. So Greenwell will be the pinch hitter, and Sullivan will be the new catcher. That leaves Romero and Dotson as the remaining bench players for Boston. So Greenwell will come on and pinch hit for Schaefer against Eckersley. And on the replay for Mike Greenwell, he is hitting .250 in 12 at-bats. 3 hits and 12 at-bats, but 2 of those 3 hits have been home runs. He's got 2 homers and 2 runs batted in. 4-10, and that's going to be a fly ball center field X. So we're looking at Javier again. He's a 2. 2 and a 5. I believe that will be okay. 2 and a 5 certainly will. That's going to be an F2. He's an E7, so he's got to avoid again 3, 4, 15, 17, and 18. And that is a 15 as an E7. He does not avoid it. That's a 2-base error. The second 2-base error in as many innings. 1 on Rice and now 1 on Javier. That's E7 with the 15 there. That's a 2-base error on Javier. And that puts the tying run in scoring position. Mike Greenwell will reach on the 2-base error off of Javier. Hello, Philip. Good to see you. So that'll bring up Henderson now with the runner in scoring position. And let's see, Greenwell runs at a 12, so he will not be held. He's average speed, nothing to write home about. Eckersley trying to get, well, that's a 1, so chance of a wild pitch, and Eckersley's wild pitch rating is a 2. So no wild pitch. That's blocked by the new catcher, Tettleton. So he'll pitch to Henderson. 4-11, and that's a fly ball right field X. That's dangerous because that is Reggie Jackson. He's a 4. 4 and a 14, though. He'll get to that. No problems. 4 and a 14 is an F2, and his error rating is a 10. So E10, he's got to avoid 4, 16. So basically 3, 4, and then 14 through 18. He's got to get something higher than 4, but lower than 14. And that total there is an 11, and that works. So Reggie Jackson makes the catch for out number 2, and Henderson is retired. And that's going to bring up Boggs in a clutch situation. First base is open. You'd be tempted to walk Boggs and not let him drive in the go-ahead run. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to give Boggs the free pass. A little bit unconventional, but they'd rather have Marty Barrett, who is just coming back from injury, try to get a hit off of Eckersley versus Boggs. So that's what they're doing. First and second, clutch situation. Eckersley to Barrett. 1-7, and that's a ground ball to short. That's going to do it. Nobody's being held on, so infield was not in, so didn't have to worry about it. Actually, we'll call it 6-3. It doesn't really make any difference. So that's going to do it. Eckersley gets out of the jam. And we go to the 7th inning stretch here in Oakland with the score Oakland 4 and Boston 3. And Mark Sullivan will take over behind the plate for the Red Sox. And now the question is, does Bob Stanley continue? Or do they go to the bullpen? Gardner has long since sat down, but they could be bringing in Steve Crawford as well. So let's see. Stanley actually has pitched pretty well lately, so he's not tired, so they're going to leave him in there. They're going to see how long they can go with Stanley. Might be a risk, but they do have, in the bullpen, they do have Crawford ready if needed. So they're going to give Stanley a chance until he gets in trouble. He's taken care of Phillips twice. He's 0 for 2. 1-7, not anymore. 1-5 is a homer, 6-20 is a double. That's a double for Tony Phillips right off the bat, a leadoff double. And now what do you do? Polonia is a left-hander hitter. Then you have switch right and right. So bringing a lefty wouldn't really do you any good at this point. They're going to give Stanley one more chance. Griffin not being held at second. 5-8. That is a line out to short. There's a dot there, but he's not tired yet. So he makes the play as he gets him to line it to Hoffman for 1 away. That'll bring up Tony Phillips, who's doubled twice against him and flown to left. But the way they're hitting the ball off Stanley now, that hard hit ball, that's been enough to tell McNamara that it's time to pull him. So Bob Stanley will be pulled, and they will go to right-handed pitcher Steve Crawford out of the bullpen, as they don't want this thing to get away from him. So the Stanley is going to be replaced by Crawford, and we'll get the numbers on Stanley at the end of the inning when they're official, because he's responsible for the runner on second. Crawford coming into the game, he's 0-2 with a 3.38 earned run average, no saves. 16 innings pitched, 20 hits, 10 walks, and 9 strikeouts. So Crawford is in to face Tony Phillips. Crawford's a -4. And let's see, Sullivan's arm is a 0, so it is a -4 for the hold rating. Nothing on the Havoc. Phillips, 2 for 3 with 2 doubles. It's a 1-7. He's going to strike out. So 2 down, and that brings up Carney Lansford in a clutch situation. And Lansford in the clutch gains a hit on 3-9. So he has 1 extra clutch hit that he would not normally have in a non-clutch situation. That's a 6-2. That's a fly ball. Right field X. That's Dewey Evans. He's a 1. You know he's going to get to it. We're just checking for an error. He's an E2. The only way he makes an error is 3, 16, and 18. And he's fine on that. So Dewey Evans makes the play, and the inning's over. So we can close the book on Stanley. He's going to give up the 4 runs. He's actually going to pitch 6 1/3. And he's going to give up 8 hits, 4 runs total. Walks and strikeouts. He did not walk a batter. Stanley did not walk anybody. Struck out 1, 2, 3, 4. Struck out 4. All right, so 7 innings are in the books. It's still 4-3 Oakland. Still a little nip and tuck. Eckersley back out, facing Buckner, Rice, and Baylor. If Eckersley tires, they do have Jay Howell, their other closer, part of the other tandem of closers, loosening in the bullpen to finish the job. But Eckersley's got a good relief rate of 3, so he can go for a little bit if he has to. So top of the 8th we are for Bill Buckner. All right, Fall Classic tonight. Dodgers and the Pirates, 1983. Be sure to check that out from RJL. Presumably somewhere in the 7:30 to 7:45 time frame Eastern. Here's Buckner, 1-7, and that's a single to center field for Buckner. Starts off the 8th with a single. Tempted to pinch run for him. He runs as an 8. And they could bring in Dotson, who runs at a 10, but that's still not that much better. Although Dotson is a better fielder as well. So they're going to pull Buckner, and Pat Dotson's going to come on and pinch run and take over at first base. That will leave Ed Romero as the last bench player for the Red Sox. So McNamara is going to get the gimpy Bill Buckner out of there and put in Pat Dotson. And Dotson, of course, will stay in the game, play first base. So Dotson not being held, but he does run at a 10, which is 2 marks better than the 8 that Buckner has. So every little bit could make a difference in trying to score that run. Eckersley now facing Rice, trying to atone for that 2-base error he had earlier. 110, and that's a ballpark blast, so he could atone for it, but that's a 5, and that's a 4. Jim Rice is going to definitely atone for it. Look at it again. 111. I'm sorry, 110. Oh, I almost misread it. I did misread it. It's a 110, so it's actually a fly to left. The blast is the 11 and 12. That's a 10. Almost, I did misread it. Glad I caught it. It actually is a fly to left, so not deep enough. So Rice thought he had something, but then it was taken away. 110. This is clearly a 110, and 110 for Rice is not in the ballpark blast range, so he just missed it. Eckersley breathes a sigh of relief as well. 1 out now for Baylor. Baylor has homered and been hit by a pitch. That's a 1, so Eckersley again, wild pitch rating is a 2. And it is a 2, so Eckersley's going to uncork the wild pitch. Very uncharacteristic of Eckersley to do that. But now it puts the tying run in scoring position with 1 out. And Baylor the batter. Hold on, let me see what they're saying here. Doesn't have the entire tray. Okay, let's push it over this way then. I was trying to fit all the cards, and I may have to move the cards over to my left as I move the tray over. Let's see. Or I can even move this over just a tiny bit like that. And then maybe I'll just move the cards over this way so you can see them better. That's what I may have to do to try. If I want to get close enough to the cards, I'm going to lose some of the peripherals. So I'll go like this. Hopefully that's better now. All right, so Eckersley, clutch situation. Well, not a clutch situation because there's only 1 out. But Eckersley facing Baylor after the wild pitch. 2-8, and that's another hit by pitch for Baylor. He gets plunked again. Mr. Hit by Pitch does it again. It does set up a double play. Baylor's not too happy about it, but it does. And here's Dewey Evans. So Eckersley a little uncharacteristically wild with a wild pitch and a hit batter. In fact, he's hit Baylor twice. Very unusual for that to happen. So here's Dewey Evans, first and second with 1 out in a 4-3 game. That's a 1-3, and it's a split chance. 1-8 is a single. That's a 5. It's a single 1 star. It's going to load the bases. So bases are now loaded. Full of Red Sox. And Eckersley finds himself in a bit of a bind, as now we have Glenn Hoffman. But Hoffman's not much of a hitter. They may go to Romero here. They're going to pinch hit for Hoffman with Romero, who's a much better hitter. He hits 272 on the season. Hoffman only 200. So they will pinch hit for Hoffman with Romero. And it's definitely a tight situation. So Romero will pinch hit and stay in the game to play short. And that's going to be everybody on the bench. Boston has no more bench players remaining. So even in a DH game, we've used all our bench players, just to try to get the advantage. So Romero will come on and pinch hit for Hoffman. And Eckersley might be looking for some relief, as Jay Howell has started tossing in the Oakland bullpen. Romero's hitting .355 on the replay and 62 at bats. No homers, 3 driven in. Oakland infield is back for the double play. They would like to turn it. Romero is capable of hitting to those double plays for sure. That's a 2-9, but he doesn't. He singles with 2 stars, and that's going to give the Red Sox the lead as they get to Eckersley for 2 runs to take the lead. It will move Evans to third base, and Ed Romero comes through in the pinch with a 2-run single. And now what do you do if you are Tony La Russa? Do you stick with Eckersley here? Runners at the corners and only 1 out. They're going to play the infield in, but they're going to stick with Eckersley. Infield is in against Sullivan. They don't trust the double play. 3-11, and that's a fly ball right field B question mark plus an injury. That's trouble because Sullivan's their only other catcher. They have nobody else to catch. So they don't have any players left. So I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that because they've used everybody. They don't have a catcher. So this is going to be trouble. Fly ball right field B question mark. That's a possible sacrifice fly. So we'll take care of that part first. Evans is a 12. Jackson's a 0 arm. So it's a 1-14 for Evans to score. And they're going to send him. And he's out. So it's a double play. How about that? So it's a fly ball to right field, and then Evans is out. Reggie throws him out 9-2 to end the inning. But 2 runs come in for the Red Sox. And the question is, will Sullivan survive? He does not. So I got to figure out what to do with this because I don't have any players left. This is going to be interesting, to say the least. I may have to eschew the injury since there's nobody left. I may have to just stick with Sullivan and just ignore that injury because there's nobody left. And I really don't have a choice because I don't have any players left. So we're going to have to just go with it. That's going to be all for Eckersley. Eckersley goes an inning and a third. Actually, 2 1/3. Well, let me get the... First of all, I've got to put Romero at short. That's the first thing to do. Put Romero at short. And put Dotson at first. Can't forget to put Dotson at first base. All right, now we go to the box score to get the complete numbers on Stanley, which I forgot to get, plus the numbers on Eckersley. Well, Stanley did myself, so I didn't need that. Eckersley, 2 1/3, 3 hits, 2 runs. Walked 1, which was intentional, no strikeouts. So that's going to be it for Eckersley. They will bring in Howell in the 9th to try to keep the score where it is. Meanwhile, Crawford has only faced 2 batters, got them both out, so he's going to stay in the game, obviously. So we go to the bottom of the 8th. Crawford back out. And he'll be facing Canseco, Jackson, and McGuire here in the top of the 8th, or bottom of the 8th, rather, of now a 5-4 Red Sox lead. They fell behind 4-1. They come all the way back. So I'm trying to be fair to the Red Sox and not take away all their players. So we're going to say that Sullivan shook that off and stays in the game. 3-6 for Canseco. That's a solid double to right field. Double to right for Canseco. And now Reggie Jackson, your batter. Havoc roll for Crawford. Nothing happening. Here's Reggie. Reggie is 1 for 3 with a home run. It's a 2-8, and that's a single to center field for Reggie. Canseco will hold at third. So runners at the corners with nobody out as the A's look to rally. Reggie Jackson will be pulled for a pinch runner, Mike Davis. And Mike Davis will stay in the game, play right field. So Reggie Jackson is out of there for a pinch runner. Davis, pinch running in the 8th and right field in the 8th. So Davis runs at a 15, but he won't try to steal, I don't think, or he might. Let's take a look here. 2 to 5 gets him the lead, 2 through 5. So he's going to try to get the lead, 2 through 5. He does not get the lead, so you don't have to worry about it. But he is being held. And Mark McGuire, your batter. Mark McGuire, the batter. You're against Crawford. Infield is back for the double play. They're trying to avoid a big inning. 3-8, and that's a strikeout. That's a good way to do it right there. Get a strikeout on McGuire. Now a double play gets him out of the inning, so Javier is up. Red Sox now playing for the double play against Javier. 2-6, and that's a walk. It's going to load the bases. So the bases are now loaded, full of A's. And Mickey Tettleton, his first at bat since coming in for the injured Terry Steinbach. And boy, what a big at bat it is for Tettleton. And since it's his first at bat, I have not given a statistical event for Tettleton. He's hitting 235, 4 homers, 6 driven in. So Tettleton, bases loaded, 1 out, infield looking for the double play. He's got some pluses here. So you play in, you're giving up runs. So they're playing back for the double play. He's got 3 different pluses there. So the play in would be very, very dangerous. 4-8, switch hitter, struck him out. A big strikeout for Crawford. And that takes us to 2 outs now. And it's all up in a clutch situation to Alfredo Griffin to try to get the A's back in business. Griffin in the clutch will gain a hit on 3-11. So he does gain that 1 extra hit on 3-11 if he can find it. He found 3-10 instead, which is a fly to right to end the inning. So first and third, nobody out, and they could not score the run. How about that? That's killer. They leave the bases loaded. What a job by Crawford. So Crawford might stay in the game. Normally you'd bring in Schiraldi, but Schiraldi's been so bad. I'm not sure bringing in Schiraldi is the right move. So Tettleton will obviously be in the game to catch, but coming into pitch, and actually since they're still behind, they will not go to Howell. They were warming him up just in case they took the lead. Of course, Mike Davis takes over in right field after pinch running. So it's going to be Rodriguez, not Howell. So it will be Rick Rodriguez coming on. And on the replay, he is 0-0 with an ERA of 13.50, but only 2 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 walk, no strikeout. But he had a 296 earned run average in real world. So Rodriguez will be coming on to try to keep it a 5-4 game. He's got a -6 hold, so that kind of takes care of things there as far as trying to run if you are Boston. But I don't think Boston's interested in running right now. So Dave Henderson will be your batter. He's 0 for 3 on the game. That's a 5-5, and that's a walk. So a leadoff walk to Henderson by Rodriguez. Henderson will not be held. And that brings up Wade Boggs. So back to the top of the order for the Red Sox. Wade Boggs. Boggs is 0 for 2. He's been walked twice, once intentionally. 5-5, and that's a single 2 stars. And that'll put runners at the corners with nobody out. So Rodriguez having some rough times. Here's Marty Barrett. Marty Barrett. Infield is going to play in. They have no choice. But if Marty Barrett finds that 1-7, that's going to turn into a hit. But in this situation, you got to take that chance. That's a 5-11. That's a fly ball right field B. It'll be a sacrifice fly by Marty Barrett that will score Henderson. And the Red Sox take a 6-4 lead. That brings up Pat Dotson. His first at bat. It's since taking over. He's hitting a $167 in 12 at bats. 5-7, and that's a single 2 stars. So Rodriguez gives up another single 2 stars. So maybe Tony. Well, you can't pitch your best guys all the time if you're Oakland. You gotta mix it up here. So you got to give these lesser guys some appearances. You can't throw out the best you have every single time. So here's Rice. That's a 1. His wild pitch rating is a 0, so there's nothing to go on with that. So Rice is up. The infield's looking for the double play. 5-7. That's a walk. It's going to load the bases. And that'll bring up Don Baylor, who's been hit by a pitch twice. Again, looking for the double play. He's got some pluses there. If you play the infield in, you're screwed. So he's going to play back to the double play. 6-4. That's a fly ball center field X. And that is Javier. He's a 2. So this could be a sacrifice fly if nothing else. 2 and a 4. I'm sure it will be. 2 and a 4 is an F1. That means all runners are going to move up. In E7, he's got to avoid 3, 4, 15, 17, and 18. And that's a 5, so we've got a rare play on an F1. How about that? An F1 rare play. Don't see that very often. So let's see what the F1 rare play is. F1 rare play. The outfielder races back to the wall and makes a diving catch, but ends up colliding with the wall. He holds onto the ball, but is dazed. All base runners tag up and advance 2 bases before the outfielder recovers enough to throw the ball back into the infield. So it is a sacrifice fly, but 2 runs are going to score. How about that? Sacrifice fly to left, but it's going to bring home 2 runs because he banged into the wall. He was so dazed that he couldn't do anything. And before the outfielder could come over and get it, two runs will score. So 3 runs are in this inning. So that's very, very, like I said, that's why it's a rare play, I guess. Huh? But when you got that F1, that put a whole nother spin on it. So Davis is going to be okay. He'll continue, but he was dazed enough where he couldn't get anything done and give 2 RBIs to Don Baylor. And it is now an 8-4 Boston lead. The pitch to Dewey Evans, 4-6. And that's a 1-2 triple. 18's a single. That'll score another run. It's now 9-4. So a 4-run inning for the Red Sox as they have imploded against Rodriguez. They have imploded. Romero is the batter. Rodriguez is going to take one for the team. They'll just have to deal with it. 2-9, and that is a single 2 stars, so the hit parade continues. And now the 9th man to bat in the inning, Mark Sullivan, will be at the plate. For 7, and that's a single to left field, so the hit parade continues. They're going to bat around. That's going to be all for Rodriguez. They can't go any further with that. They tried to, but they just can't. So that makes it now 10-4 good buddy game, and that's going to be it for Rodriguez. He can't even get out of the inning. He goes 2/3 of an inning, and so the A's will bring in a schlub pitcher to mop up, and that's going to be Bill Kruger, who does not have a card, so it's a rare chance to get to use him. Left-hander Bill Kruger in the ultimate mop-up spot. And Kruger will be facing Henderson, who led off this inning to start the whole mess. So Kruger hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities this season, so it's probably a good chance to get him in there when it doesn't matter. Kruger on the replay, 0-0 with a 3.38 earned run average, 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, a walk, and a strikeout. Runners at first and second, and 2 outs. Henderson, your batter. 6-8, and that's a double to center field right there in blue. It's a double to center field by Henderson. And the hit parade continues. That will score. That will score the shortstop, Romero. Sullivan will stop at third. He was injured, so he can't run but so well, so he's not going to be able to take any extra bases. It is now 11-4 as they put 6 runs on the board, and Wade Boggs is back. Hard to call it a clutch situation when it's this kind of a score. 5-11, and that's a fly ball right field X. That's Mike Davis. He's a 3. 3-13, he'll get to it. Check his error rating. Mike Davis is an error rating of 16. That's not good. That could be problems. E16. He's got to avoid 4, 6, 12, 13, and 17. And hopefully he does. That's an 11, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. Nope. The E, what did I say he was, an E16? Yep, E16. There is no 11. There's a 12 there, but no 11. So finally the inning is over. 6 runs score. And the Red Sox turn a 4-1 deficit into an 11-4 shellacking. And they might as well keep Crawford in the game. No sense not to. We'll get the gory numbers on Rodriguez. They weren't pretty by any means. Rodriguez is going to go 2/3 of an inning. He's going to give up 5 hits and 6 runs. All earned. Walk 2, didn't strike out anybody. Kruger goes 1/3 of an inning. So, bottom of the 9th we go. 13-4. I'm sorry, 11-4. And Crawford's looking just to finish things out and get Boston their 3rd win. Top of the order is Polonia. .112, and that's a fly to center, so Polonia is out of there. Hello, Mr. Ivan. Didn't see you sneak in there. Dav, didn't see you sneak in there. All right, Tony Phillips. 1-6 struck him out, so looks like that's why you play the games. When you first saw this game, it was 15-4 Oakland against 2-16 Boston. You figure Oakland's going to win, especially they're up 4-1 after 5 innings, but that's why you roll the dice. 4-6 struck him out, and there's your ball game. So a 1-2-3 inning for Crawford. And the Red Sox get their 3rd victory of the season. They improved to 3-16. 3-16. With the shellacking 11-4. Crawford actually gets the win in relief. He is the winner. He improves to 1-2 on the season. Crawford's going to go 2 2/3. 2 hits, no runs, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. The loss goes to Eckersley. He also blew the save. So he is now 3-1. Final totals, Boston 11 runs, 11 hits, and 1 error. Oakland 4 runs, all in that 1 inning, 10 hits, and 2 errors. Both teams left 8 runners on base. So Boston proves to 3-16. Oakland drops to 15-5. So interesting game there. And if we give a player of the game, I'm not sure who you would give that to. But Crawford's a good candidate because he came in and shut the door when they needed it and kept him in the game. But you would think Don Baylor might be the player of the game. He homered, had a 2 RBI sacrifice fly, was hit by the pitch twice, scored 2 runs. So he's obviously a candidate as well. But you can pick who you want. Baylor does have 3 runs driven in, 2 runs scored. So I think I'll give it to Don Baylor as the player of the game. So that concludes that game on April the 27th. There are 2 games remaining on this date. Next game scheduled will be Detroit at Seattle. Good matchup on paper. Frank Tanana against Mark Langston, a couple of lefties. From the Kingdome in Seattle, it'll be Detroit at Seattle. That'll probably be on Tuesday, I'm guessing, just as a guess. Don't know for sure. But that's going to do it from here. So after a couple of false starts, to use a football analogy, where the video screwed up on me, we finally got this game in. It wasn't pretty. It was fine until this 8th inning. I mean, until the 9th inning, really, it was fine. It's 5-4. It's a nice, tight game. But the 6th inning just got out of hand. But that's going to do it from here. Hope you all are having an enjoyable Sunday. If you're a NASCAR fan, of course, the Daytona 500 is scheduled today. Be sure to check out RJL's 1983 season replay, and he switched off to Fall Classic for tonight's game, roughly around 7:30, 7:45 Eastern time. Be sure to check that out. I believe he said it was the Dodgers and the Pirates, but don't quote me on it. I think that's what he said. So I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the score sheet, Alan. I'm not 100% sure on that. I believe, I mean, Kruger gave up the double, but the inherited runners were charged to Rodriguez. So Kruger actually gave up a hit, I think, so he did give up a hit because they had 11 hits. He did give up a hit. I don't know why I put 0 there. He did give up a hit. Come on, get out of here. He did give up a hit, but the inherited runner was charged to Rodriguez. So that's why that turned out that way. So don't know if how good of a game it was because it was a blowout there at the end. It was good for 8 innings, I'll say that much. But next time we will have the Tigers and the Mariners from the Kingdom, Mark Langston against Frank Tanana. Tomorrow night, I've already recorded these 2 games in the Cincinnati replay for History Maker Baseball. I might go ahead and load that up tomorrow at some point, maybe around lunchtime or something. I don't know, against the Expos. I'll figure out how I want to do it. But for Strat-O-Matic, it'll probably be on Tuesday, Detroit at Seattle. So that's going to do it from here. Hope you enjoy your weekend, what's left of it anyway. Enjoy your Sunday. And until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road.